Hey guys, I'm Grizz and this is Grizz. Let's play Dishonored. This is episode 2. Dwa. Dos. Other languages for 2.
This is the Hound Pit's pub. Closed for business. Half the district marked off as dead from the plague. We're right under the Lord Regent's nose and he don't know a thing. Of course, if anyone finds out what we're up to, the Watch will break in with swords drawn. And now that you've escaped, the Lord Regent's going to be tearing the city apart.
I sort of like you because you have sideburns. And that normally is a sign of evil.
Like the rest of the loyalists. The Admiral's a man to be reckoned with. If anyone can help you find that missing girl, Lady Emily, and clear your name, he can.
But you also have that sort of 5 o'clock shadow going for you, so I think you're like the best good guy ever. Because whenever it's just like, the fucking sideburns, you're fucking evil. But whenever you have like sideburns and something else, you're alright. You're either evil or you're just like a thief. Like Lupin, I think. I don't know. Hey.
Starting at last, Admiral. We've found our man. Eat.
We can continue this later, Lord Pendleton.
Hi.
The man of the hour is here. Corvo?
What about the next hour?
A true servant of the Empire, like you. Until the Lord Regent purged those of us who wouldn't recognize his claim on the throne.
And I'm Lord Trevor Pendleton. I represent the nobility in our little group. But we all act as equals here at the Hound Pit's pub.
This is a momentous occasion, Corvo. I'm going to come out.
The head of your
We've
beard,
built a
it is not
coalition
moving at all.
aimed at ending the Lord Regent's tyranny and
It
restoring
looks like
the
plastic.
throne.
At risk of execution, we're committed to finding young Lady Emily and seeing her crowned as Empress.
I do
We've
like
got
how he
big
actually
plans.
drank some of it.
But we can't do any of it without you. We need your skills, your ability in a fight. And in helping us, we're going to help you destroy the men who murdered the Empress.
Sorry, you must be exhausted.
Yeah, I
We
am.
can discuss this further after you've recovered. But before you retire, you should introduce yourself to Piero. He's challenging at times, but his industrious mind buys him that right.
Yes, Piero's as much an artist as a technician. He's going to be crafting the gear you'll need. Go talk to him and then get some sleep. We can talk more when you've rested.
Dude, you're like an expert at smoking that. You were talking while you're taking in a breath, and your voice didn't change at all. It's fucking magnificent. I'm gonna explore. Dude, where are you going? Sweet sleep. I'm gonna steal your shit. Oh, I didn't even know there was shit to steal. Hey, more shit to steal. Mysteries of Pandysia. Excerpt from a book on the far continent Pandysia. At the Academy of Natural Philosophy, they speak of the Pandysian continent as a place of wonder, where all of life has entwined and blossomed across eons. Aeons. Eons? Yeah. Aeons. But I thought eons was... I'm looking that up. Google. Define. Okay, it's apparently they put a word that on define. Hang on, one of a class of powers or being conceived as emanating from the supreme being and performing various functions. Okay. So it's, but that seems like it should be eons, not aeons. Nah, whatever. Producing a vibrant ecology unrivaled in the civilized world. The overseers from the Abbey of the Everyman, by contrast, talk of horror and heresies, of cult of submen engaged in brutal, perverse rituals. Is Pandysia supposed to be like the Americas, and they're talking about the Native Indians? Because that's what we ended up calling them as the white people, Native Indians. That are savages, and I think Native Indians are better. Native Indians would be India, though, so Native Americans is probably more accurate. Or American Indians. Considering we called them Indians. I don't know. Whatever, I'm getting off subject. The few who have traveled to the far continent and come back to the Isles, those who have actually touched the soil there, have returned with notes that describe vast deserts, deep jungles, and outlandish creatures that defy belief. Once in a generation, a great effort is mounted to build a colony there, in hopes of this someday growing into a port city to rival Dunwall itself. But to date, these attempts have all ended in madness and failure. Challenge fucking accepted. I'll do it. I will do it. Listen. Bro, whoa, my blade is covered in blood. I wonder if I can make it red. That'd be cool. Woo! Hi,
I'll be
Piero.
crafting your weapons and gear. All
Sure.
custom work. For you, I will create the tools of a master assassin.
That sounds fucking amazing. I love you. You're my favorite character. You make my awesome shit.
Cannot happen now. The tank of whale oil is running.
Wait, you're the one that made my awesome shit, didn't you?
Will you get a
Ooh,
new
what are you?
tank from upstairs, please,
Ooh.
while I hold this in place?
More money.
Careful. Oil to unstable.
Ooh, more books.
When it explodes, there's a terrible mess.
Sokolov technology in the New Age. Excerpt from a recent book detailing Sokolov's machines. Gonna sneeze. Nope, not gonna sneeze, okay. One of the advantages of Sokolov's technologies is that they share the same magnetic socket for the tanks of processed whale oil they use as fuel. When a tank is exhausted, another can be plugged into place with ease. And the process is simple enough that any common workman or even the lower guardsman of the city watch can handle the task. This applies to the arc pylon and wall of light security systems, as well as the powered carriages used for transport by those few who are wealthy enough to afford them. The only obvious downside to Sokolov's designs is the volatility of the tanks themselves. A few incidents have occurred, resulting in damage to property or bodily harm whenever one of the tanks has exploded. Okay. So, okay, second solution. Expert from a series of newspaper articles from prominent natural philosophers by Piero Joplin. It is to no fault of my own that the average citizen has expressed a preference for Sokolov's elixir. Even my own formula, sold as Piero's remedy, a name I did not choose if you must know the truth. The public has spoken its usual message of idiocy, spending their coin as a means of selecting Sokolov's formula over mine, which I believe to be equal, if not superior. Much has been made over the popularity of these concoctions as a means of resisting this remarkable new plague. I say remarkable because this strain works with an efficiency we have not seen in the history of the Empire. The plague now making its way through the city of Dunwall is unrivaled in its effectiveness. I have studied it within the blood of those afflicted, and it is nearly perfect, elegant in fact. While it is true that Pierre's remedy and Sokolov's elixir are known to protect the body against the plague equally, my own has properties not fully understood, which relate to the mind itself and the spirit. And it is in this way that my formula wins out. Here is where one should pay attention to this contest. For you see, Sokolov's elixir, with its emphasis on the brute animal body, is crass goop better suited for livestock. The subtle and secret variance in the key ingredients making up Pierre's remedy ensures that it works on the higher functions that separate humankind from the mindless blue-jawed hagfish swimming in the Wrenhaven River. Alright, so both are equally as effective, but Sokolov's works on the body, aka the health potion, and Piero's works on the mind and sort of the spirit. So that's my mana potions. Alright. Piero's request is denied. Piero, no, I will not sign off on these purchases. A bag of powdered crystal? Tivian ore? What's wrong with the material, with the metals in Gristol? King Sparrow feathers? If you need feathers, sacrifice your own pillow. Maybe at the academy everything you needed was paid for by tariff and handed out willy-nilly, but this is my bar or what's left of it. And we're operating on a budget. We're running low on oil, food, elixir, building materials, and everything else, so you've got to slow down. While I'm footing the bill, I will not approve your purchases, unless they're absolutely required. No more copper wire or special herbs. If you need those things, go out and scavenge them. Half the city is in ruins. No one is going to miss any of the odd crap you seem to need. Alright, so anything that I find, I can sell to Piero, even if I find it in his fucking workshop, which is sort of weird. Alright, let's go ahead and open this. Nothing's in there. Of course. Wow, there's a lot of books. I'm just gonna have to stop the series. I guess I'll do it when I go to bed. Alright, so we have whale oil. Shit. Alright, let's go ahead and read. Excerpt from a manual on new city watch procedures. Dead counter responsibilities. Commissioned by the Lord Regent in the face of the growing plague crisis. The dead counter is a position that will only be given to officers, usually of junior or middle grades. In most matters of edict or curfew enforcement, these officers will defer to the acting officer on duty. However, any dead counter will have command in situations related to the plague and the handling of the dead, including those with late-stage plague symptoms called weepers in common parlance. Starting in the month of rain, interested officers may apply for the test, and if accepted for the 2-week training tour, pay will be administered in coin and rations of elixir at 1 1/2 normal pay grade. 1 1/2. Okay, so it's like you get 1 and then like half of that, I guess. Okay, that's cool. Failed experiments. Excerpt from a series of lectures on natural philosophy by Piero Joplin. Of course I have attempted to improve upon Sokolov's designs. Of course. And why not? After all, it is likely that his thinking was influenced in some small way by our time together at the Academy. We are all part of a community, striving to unknot the mysteries of the cosmos. Even those among us who possess the greatest minds are often led to a fruitful line of consideration by how does one say it, our intellectual subordinates. Sokolov is no exception to this. Despite the glamour of genius he has cast over his aristocracy. And further, it is true that many of my experiments have failed. No need to gossip about it behind my back in your social clubs and in the very chambers of the Academy itself. Great ambition requires risks. You may laugh now at my door to nowhere, but someday you will not. Your children will likely see it as commonly as you see the electric lamps lighting our streets at night. But a few short years ago, you would have laughed at Sokolov's arc pylon or wall of light. Your laughter, your condensing smiles, they are nothing but evidence of your own limited imagination. Okay, door to nothing. What is this? The door to nowhere has proven to be a safety hazard, but for me, this project is an endless source of inspiration. With the proper application of energies, I believe I can transform the door frame into a window of sorts, one that will allow a traveler to cover the distance from my workshop to some distant arbitrary point in a single step. Currently, the step leads to a sheer drop straight down into the courtyard, but in time, It will bridge gaps that will boggle the mind. Such work is many years away, to be sure, but if I survive this plague, I'm sure this... Holy shit, he got it to work, though. That's insane. I'm sorry, but this guy's a fucking genius. He said it's just the sheer drop. That still means that fucking worked, right? I mean, maybe living tissue can't go through it, and that should be a test. He should, like, throw a rat through it and see what kills it, the fall or anything else. That's kind of cool. Whale vivisection. Yeah, I think I've said that right. Excerpt from the notes of a natural philosopher aboard a whaling ship. Remarkably, each specimen I had the pleasure of studying during the voyage possessed some minor variance in physiology. On the second leg of the trip, east of Tivia, the crew hauled aboard a female, some 42 inches in length. I estimated she weighed 35 tons, and the ship sat low, rocking side to side through the night with her thrashing. By candlelight, I took her apart, sketching and taking notes. Against her bellowing, I cut into the massive tentacles around her mouth. And within I found row upon row of teeth and a baleen running along the upper jaw. Through this broom-like structure, I assumed she filtered food from water that was too small to be chewed. Huh. So he's doing, like, research on whales. Whale oil processing. Right. Excerpt from the founder of the Greaves Whale House by Ebenezer Greaves. Out at sea, they secure the beast with hooks with lines cast from the main ship and from several smaller boats. Buoys keep the whale from diving deep. Once it's caught, a larger hook is driven through the tail, which is used to hoist the creature up through the chute. They moan and bellow for some time as the men get them onto the deck, then lift them into the scaffolding overhead. The ship adjusts its prow and returns to port in Dunwall, where the crew works on the great creature, slicing off the fattiest parts while it still lives. Whoa, that's sort of cruel. Whale oil refilling station. Sokolov no longer has the upper hand with regard to supplies of whale oil. The good admiral has paid for the installation of my own system, which will enable me to work in this place. The oil tank dispenser, when activated, will produce an empty vessel for filling. When the empty tank is held near the oil tank filling, the magnetic attractor should take the tank and lock it into the correct configuration. Using the lever will begin the refilling process. Once refilling is complete, the tank will be removed and placed in service. Extreme caution must be used in handling the full tanks. They are quite unstable. The system is sound and well engineered. It appears that the Greaves Oil Company has done something correctly for once. Huh, that's mean. Alright, whale oil. I'm finally done reading all that stuff. Damn. I'm 18 minutes in and most of it's been reading. Alright.
Perfect. Now plug it in.
Boom!
Just get it neat. Perfect. Thank you, Cole. Here, see? The assassin's mask. You're a wanted man, so everyone in the city knows your face. But this mask will mean terror to them. If you just hold still, the fit must be precise. There. Can you see normally?
Nope.
Send the lens out of alignment. There. Better now? I could create more for you. Upgrades for your gear, weapons, munitions. But our situation here is desperate. Scavenge the city for valuables and I will resell them on the black market. That should give us the money to craft the things you need.
Okay.
Tell me what I can make for you.
Yes, let's have a look. Okay, upgrades. I need upgrades. Purchases, though. Spring razor. There's crossbow bolts, sleep bolts. I'm not really gonna be using a lot of sleep bolts because I'm gonna be killing people this time around and going crazy. I can get a pistol upgrade. Crossbow range. Ooh, accuracy. I might want to get accuracy. I might get reload. Mask optics. That might be good, actually. Or this. There you go, bone charms. I know what those do.
You must be exhausted. I advise that you get some sleep. Your life will get even more difficult soon. You should rest while you can.
Uh-huh. I get it. Yes, you're right. I'll head to my room for sleep. Yeah. I'll go ahead and sleep.
Sleep well.
You know, you're my favorite guy because you can make me awesome shit. Alright, we're gonna go somewhere else next time. But, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.